In this lesson, fraction number lines, you will learn how to label fractions on a number line between two whole numbers. Okay, here's some basic information that you have to know. In today's lesson, you're going to be working with mixed fractions, which means you're going to have a whole number and a fraction together. Okay, so I'll explain that. My grandmother made 2 chocolate pies. Some parts of the pies had chocolate chips in them. What fraction of the pies had chocolate chips? Okay, when we look at this pie right here, I can see that every single slice has chocolate chips. So therefore, this pie is one whole. But when I look at this pie over here, I see that not all of the pieces have chocolate chips. Only 4 of the pieces have chocolate chips out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So therefore, to answer this question, what fraction of the pies had chocolate chips, my answer would be 1 and 4/8. That's one whole pie and 4/8 of another one, which is also 1 and 1/2. Okay, this example says that I had 4 candy bars. The parts with pink dots show what I have eaten so far. What fraction of my candy have I eaten? Well, when I look at this candy bar right here, I can see that I ate 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces out of 4. So I actually ate one whole. Then in this candy bar, I ate every piece. So now I've eaten 2 whole candy bars. Then I ate another whole candy bar. That's 3. But then I started feeling kind of sick and thought, ooh, I better slow down. So on this one, I only ate 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So my fraction is 1/4. So when I put that all together, my question is, what fraction of my candy have I eaten? The answer is 3 and 1/4, which is 3 wholes plus 1/4 of another candy bar. Okay, here we're going to match the fractions correctly. So anytime you have a picture, I need you to label it every single time. And you will have lots of pictures for fractions. So when we look at this picture right here, I can tell that it's showing me that I have one whole, and then I have part of a whole here. I have 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1 and 1/8. Okay, so pause the tape and see if you can figure out these next 3. Okay, so let's check and see how you did. So on this example right here, this one is showing me one whole. This is showing me another whole, so I have 2 wholes. But this is only showing me part of the whole. And so I have 1, 2, 3 that are shaded out of 5 altogether. So my answer on this one would be 2 and 3/5. Okay, try this one. I have one whole, and my fraction is 1, 2, 3 out of 5 pieces altogether. 1 and 3/5. Okay, on this one, this shows me one whole. This shows me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are shaded out of 6, 7, 8 altogether. So 1 and 5/8. So in class, you know, we took our cards and we just moved them this way. Okay, these problems had mixed fractions. You will use mixed fractions when you make your number lines with fractions. Okay, this is going to be a little trickier, but I know you can do it. Okay, you always want to follow the same steps, and the steps are listed right here to help you label your fractions. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is to make a rectangle by connecting the 2 whole numbers. And this is what's really, really important, guys. You have to find your whole numbers, and they have to be numbers that are consecutive. Okay, so you want to find like 0 and 1. or 1 and 2, or 4 and 5, or 20 and 21, but they have to be two numbers that are consecutive. Okay, then you draw your rectangle between those two boxes. And then you're going to connect your ticks all the way up. Okay, then you're going to count the spaces to figure out how many, what you're counting by. So this is 1 space, 2, 3, and 4. So I know that I'm counting by 1/4. So then when I get ready to fill it in, I think, okay, here's 0. If I add 1/4, the spot is 1/4. If I add another 4th, now I have 2/4. If I add another 4th, now I have 3/4. You label every single tick mark. If you add another 4th, you have 1 hole. Okay, so now then, let's try this one right here. I've already drawn my rectangle, and this is just like the example a while ago. We labeled it 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 1. Now we have 1 hole, so we have to include that 1 in all of our fractions. So this next tick mark, if I added another 4th, I would have 1 hole and 1/4. Next one, if I added another 4th, I would have 1 hole and 2/4. If I added another 4th, I would have 1 hole and 3/4. It's hard to write. If I added another hole, another 4th, I would have 2 holes. Okay, then you just keep going. Now you would have 2 and 1/4, 2 and 2/4. And then 2 and 3/4 and 3. So you see if you can label the rest of the number line there. But it's always going to be in the same order right here. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, a hole. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, a hole. Okay, what fraction belongs in the square? Okay, so I've got a number line, and I know that I have to label every single spot. Okay, you draw this on your paper and see if you can follow the steps and find what fractions go on the number line. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is to draw, I'm going to get my pen over here, sorry, and I'm going to draw my rectangle between my whole numbers. There's 0 and 1. Now I connect the ticks all the way up. And then what do I do? Count the spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that means that I'm counting by 1/6. Okay, so if I start at 0 and I add 1/6, this space is going to be 1/6. If I add another 6, now I have 2, 6. Add another 6, 3, 6. You label the whole thing until you get to your benchmark number down here so you know you're right. 4, 6. Add another 6, 5, 6. If you add another 6, you have 1 hole. 6, 6 is the same thing as 1 hole. Hope you got that one right. Okay, next one. Our square is way down here. So we've got to find two numbers that are consecutive whole numbers and draw our square between them. We've been doing it between 0 and 1, but I'm going to show you how you can do it between 1 and 2 because 2 follows 1. So all we do is draw our rectangle between 1 and 2. Okay, draw our ticks up. Now let's count the spaces. 1, 2. So what are we counting by? Halves. We don't call that fraction 1/2, we call it a half. Okay, so we're going to label it. Here's 1. If I add a half, now I have 1 and 1/2. Add another half, I have 2. Add another half, and I have 2. And you can't see that, sorry. 2 and 1/2. If I add another half, I have 3. Let's go backwards and label this one. If I start at 0 and I add a half, now I have 1/2, 1. And so, what fraction belongs in the square? Here's my square. Circle your answer or write it down for your teacher. Okay, let's try this one. What fraction belongs in the square? So I have the whole number 1 and I have the whole number 2. Okay, so draw my rectangle. And I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to give you a second. And I want you to draw this and see if you can figure out what we're counting by and label your own number line. Okay, so let's connect our tick marks between our whole numbers. That's easy. I've got 1 space, 2 spaces, 3 spaces, 4 spaces. So I'm counting by 1/4 or quarters, like some people like to call it. Okay, so let's start labeling. We have 1 whole, so my next spot is going to be 1 and 1/4. If you only put 1/4, that is not correct because that comes before 1. Add another 4th and we have 1 and 2/4. Then we have 1 and 3/4. Add another 4th and we have 2. Then 2 and 1/4. 2 and 2/4. 2 and 3/4. Add another 4th and you have 3 wholes. So answer the question now, don't just leave it like that. What fraction belongs in the square? 1 and 3/4. Okay, so I hope you understand more about labeling fractions on a number line between whole numbers. Make sure that you know that something like this is a mixed fraction, which means 2 wholes and 2/3 of another part.